Okay, let's dive right into this. Welcome to This Explainer, where we're going to look at the global culinary empire, but not just as a business. We're looking at it as a brutal master point of view career ladder. So I want you to imagine for a second that your life is a progression system. You're stepping into this crazy world where culinary exploration meets the absolute extreme stakes of a survival challenge. You aren't just cooking here, right? You're fighting to climb from the absolute gritty bottom to the dizzying heights of fame and fortune.
So the real question is, are you ready to survive the culinary ladder? Because climbing from the very bottom to the absolute top of the food world isn't just a career path. It literally requires the sheer stamina and mental fortitude of surviving 100 days in a hardcore simulation on a deserted island. We're talking insane hours, brutal conditions, and a massive failure rate that would honestly make most people quit on day one. You've got to treat this like the deadliest jungle out there.
To make it, you've got to survive 5 escalating ranks. We kick things off at rank 1, the dishwasher, the grueling foundation of the whole industry. Then rank 2, the street food vendor, taking your hustle global. Rank 3 is the executive chef, orchestrating pure chaos. Rank 4, the Michelin Critic, where the power dynamic completely flips. And finally, rank 5, the food empire CEO. All right, let's start the clock and jump right into the first level of your new life.
Level 1, the dishwasher. You are officially clocking into the shadow economy of the kitchen. You're the unseen, unheard engine that literally keeps the entire restaurant from collapsing. If you stop, the whole system stops. Days 1 through 100 in the dish pit, it's a pure survival test. The heat is suffocating, the humidity is just oppressive, and the sheer volume of dirty plates, it feels like endless waves in a turbulent ocean. You're getting soaked, you're getting burned, and yeah, you're getting yelled at. It's this incredibly physical, repetitive grind that really tests your sanity, which, by the way, is exactly why entry-level kitchen roles have some of the highest turnover rates of literally any industry in the world. Surviving this feels exactly like making it through an extreme, hardcore survival run. But if you can actually outlast the mental fatigue of the dish pit, you finally unlock the next rank.
Level 2, the global street food vendor.
Okay, so you've escaped the dish pit, and now you're out in the real world, serving grassroots cuisines and fighting in these intense global flavor battles. To actually stand out and survive on the streets, you can't just cook one thing. You're out there cooking the favorite meals of World Cup stars, pitting Messi's favorite dishes against Ronaldo's. You're serving Brazil versus Norway food, Argentina versus Cape Verde, and even recreating school lunches from every country just to draw a massive crowd. Your culinary repertoire basically has to be as vast as the globe itself to keep the customers lining up. And let me tell you, it's a massive market. Street food feeds over 2.5 billion people globally every single day.
But the economics of this rank? They're absolutely brutal. Sure, your ingredients might be low cost, but the reality is just a high-stakes hustle. Your profit margins are literally pennies, which turns every single day into this wild game of extreme financial survival. And the shift length? Oh man, it feels infinite. It's honestly comparable to surviving 50 straight hours just walking in a circle. You're completely trapped in your small cart, cooking the exact same high-demand items over and over again, basically racing against time to make enough cash to survive another day.
Level 3, the executive chef.
At this rank, you have essentially mastered the 100-year life simulator of the culinary world. You've put in the decades of work, but the pressure? It's now at its absolute suffocating maximum. You're acting as the ultimate filter between two entirely different worlds, because behind those kitchen doors, it's a high-pressure battleground. Fires are flaring, tickets are printing relentlessly, cooks are shouting every single second counts. It's pure, unfiltered chaos. But what you deliver to the customer, that must be absolute, flawless perfection on the plate. And considering around 60% of restaurants fail in their first year, the stakes really couldn't be higher. Make one mistake, and your reputation is totally ruined.
Level 4, the Michelin Critic.
Now, you've climbed so high that the power dynamic entirely flips. You are no longer sweating over the stoves. Instead, you're sitting at the table, armed with a notepad, holding the literal fate of every executive chef in your hands. One bite of the world's rarest foods decides their entire fate. The physical toll, that's gone, but it's replaced by this immense psychological weight. You're traveling the world eating the most exclusive dishes that chefs have agonizingly perfected over years. And with just a single sentence in your review, you can crown a king or completely destroy a chef's life's work. And it's a job shrouded in absolute secrecy, too. Michelin inspectors are so fiercely anonymous that many don't even tell their own families what they do for a living. So the pressure isn't physical anymore. It's the heavy, heavy burden of basically playing God in the culinary universe.
Level 5. The Food Empire CEO. You've done it. You have conquered the industry. You aren't just reviewing restaurants anymore. You own the brands, the media, the entire supply chains. Reaching this rank is exactly like hitting the lottery jackpot. It brings unimaginable wealth, insane fame, and a totally new set of problems. 110 million. That staggering number represents the views on just a single video your media empire produces, something as incredibly simple as 50 ways to use chocolate. This is the massive, almost incomprehensible scale of your new culinary empire. You're reaching tens of millions of people globally with just a single click. You've won the game. But what actually happens after you win?
Well, extreme fame and wealth have a dark side, and the dream can warp very, very quickly. At first, you're the spender, right? Buying the finest things, investing, just throwing your capital around. But as the empire grows and the pressure mounts, you become isolated. The world shrinks. You can't just casually walk down the street to try a new food cart anymore because you're way too famous. Ultimately, this breeds the paranoid phase. When you have literally everything to lose, you trust fewer and fewer people, until you basically become a ghost in your own massive empire.
Which leaves us with this final, provocative thought. You started out in the dish pit, fighting for survival. You fought your way through the streets, mastered the chaotic kitchens, and judged the finest foods on earth just to build a 100 million view empire. But after surviving that grueling climb, what happens when the ultimate prize entirely isolates you from the very world of food you originally set out to conquer? It's a fascinating paradox of success, and definitely something to chew on. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you in the next one.